So for step 13, the front uprights. Well, you can see we've got quite a bit of work to do with this step, and we're going to have to be very careful to make sure that we place things correctly with this as well. So you can see here we've got ball connectors, we've got long ball connectors, we've got ball plates, we've got our uprights, and then there are the other plastic parts, these ones right here, the F1s. So with everything there, let's set this up and put them together. So let's work on this side. So we know that this is going to go this way. It doesn't matter which one you grab, they're both the same. So we know that if we're working on this side, that is the direction it needs to be. You can see the ball connector is going into the inner hole. So let's attach that first. So put that in there. We know that's going into the inner hole. So let's screw that in. Make sure that's going in level. It seems to mostly be. So I think we're good. So we'll screw that all the way in. Yep. So now that the ball connector is on, we need to get these plates on and put on the ball connector. Now, what I like to do, because you've got these loose parts anyway, is I like to try and make sure that the ball connector is going in properly. So I basically like to get it started to make sure that the screw or the ball connector is going in as level as possible so that it feels easier to get it in. It seems like it's okay, so I'm going to loosen this off, and again we're going to put these two on. Now make sure that the ball connector pieces, you can see there, they face up on this F1 piece, and on the ball plate there's a raised side and obviously a flat side. You need the raised side up, and ultimately what's going to happen is those raised balls need to go into the holes that are not raised, because you want to leave those for the screws. So they want to sit in the flat part of the ball plate. Now ultimately this is going to get attached to here with this ball connector. So I can start this again because now we've already sort of pre-screwed it in, so now it's feeling correct, and I could screw this in all the way. Now, I'm not going to quite yet, because what do we need to do? We need to grease that ball head, because there's going to be a lot of movement with this. So I'm going to do this now before everything gets tight, and just run it everywhere. And now I can continue to screw this down. Now once I get closer, I'm going to have to make sure that it's all sitting where it should be, but I think at this step you don't need to worry about that yet. So we'll just screw that in until it's all the way, which it is. So ultimately it's kind of loose, and these are going to move out of where they should be anyway, so I'm not worrying about this too much. The main goal is to make sure that these pieces are at least attached correctly. So again, if we do this from the top, I want to make sure that this goes in correctly. Make sure that you get the threading right, and that, no, see, that moved, and that it's level, which I find is easier to do this way than once you've put on all of the pieces. So you just want to make sure that you're getting the threading correct. There we go. So yes, that'll be fine. So again, I'm just going to back this off. And we're going to do this again, but now recognize that all of the protruding parts, the raised bits, need to be facing down when you're working on the top one. So everything has to be facing down, and then we've got that ball connector that we can screw in. And because I've already got it nicely started, it's a lot easier to do. So I like to do it first so you're not messing about with all these pieces off the top. Now what I do notice is these are going to be floating around anyway, so I'm not going to grease this ball head until we've done all of them. So once we've done the other side, then I'll grease it up before the next step. Okay, so ultimately that's what it's going to look like. The raised parts are facing down on the top, the raised parts are facing up on the bottom part, and so ultimately that's what it's going to look like. So let's do the same thing with the other side. We know that this is going to be this way, and this is coming in from the bottom, and we know it's going to be on the inner hole. Make sure that's going in level. Looks like it is. So we'll screw this all the way in. There we go. And again, gonna grab the ball connector. I'm just gonna make sure that this is going in correctly. You've got to get it to grab, which it's not doing at the moment. There we go. Nope. This time it doesn't want to grab. There we go. Now it's grabbing. It's mostly level, so that's fine. So now I'm going to back this out because we know we've started to thread it. And again, we're at the bottom, so everything is facing up. So we need the balls facing up and that part facing up, and they can go into there. And again, it doesn't matter about the positioning because it's not going to be able to be tightened up until we've got a little farther. So again, up, up, and now we can put that back in. And because we've got the threading already, now it sticks, so it'll be easier to do. And once you get to the end, you'll know because it's just going to stop. There we go. So for the bottom, everything's facing up. So again, we're going to do the same thing with the top. We need to make sure that we get the threading correct. Now that seems to have worked actually much better than the last one. So I'm just spinning it in just a little bit more, and now I'm going to loosen it back up because we now know that it's working. Stick that back in there, and now everything needs to be facing down. So let's make sure that is, they both are. Put that through there, and we can start threading this back in. And there we go. So much easier doing it that way because you have to get the thread started, and trying to do that when you've got those other two pieces in there messing about, you can't even see whether you've got it level or not. So that just makes way more sense. And there we go. So there we go. There is another one. So everything raised is facing down, everything raised is facing up, and the same thing for the other side. Now, it shows you greasing up the balls. Because I'm not quite ready to do step 14, I'm not going to do any more. I know we did the one, but there's not much point until I'm ready to actually install this, because I will put the grease on before we start tightening all of this up. So that means that step 13 is complete. So we can move on to step 14, and this is where we're going to attach those to the front suspension.